call this meeting to order. Is Luke here? Did we hear from him?
I text him, so he should be coming in soon.
Okay. It's only 7:02, but we are ready to call it to order. And I think the things we'll be doing before he gets here will not impact him at all. So let's call to order, and someone else should probably do the pledge, but if no one wants to do it, let's try to do it together. Selena, would you like to do the pledge? Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So you want to call or do the pledge first? You want to call the meeting to order or do the pledge?
I just did. I said I called the meeting to order and would like for someone to do the pledge.
All right, we'll do the pledge.
We can do it together.
I think together is fine. All right.
All right.
So I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag
of the United
of the
States
United States of America and to the republic which stands
one
one nation
under God,
indivisible,
for
liberty and justice for all. Thank you so very much. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review the agenda. Any concerns, questions, or additions or removals? Hearing none, I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor and Council, I'm sorry, I didn't unmute myself in time. But this is Daniel from MRBA.
Yes, Daniel.
I thought we were supposed to be on this agenda for today.
Okay, Daniel, and why would you all be on the agenda today? Is it about the business fee waiver and the CDMA?
Yes, I thought today's meeting will pretty much. I thought today's city mayor and council was going to either agree or disagree on, I guess, waiving the fees.
Okay, let me bring you to where I think we are. I thought we had that meeting and approved, but I think you may be right that we need to approve it in a legislative meeting because we said that at a work session, if I make no mistake, right, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay, may I ask council to actually put that on the agenda so we can vote to approve it officially? Because not only has it been approved by mayor and council, but I know as of the day, this has been pretty much settled because I did send an email that said that, thank you for getting this done. We had about 20 businesses that were going to be in it. I heard you, Latasha.
Yeah, I just want to, point of order, according to the charter and the code, the waiver of the business license is at the discretion of the city manager. So I don't think that you guys have to approve it or deny it. It's already been done. So I don't think that it requires that.
And I think I totally agree with you, but for tracking purposes, for future reference, for us to find it one day when nobody else is remembering, if we put it on this agenda and we take some kind of action on it, everybody will know that it was done. I agree with you 100%, Latasha, which is why I had no problem with us approving with you approving the 20 or so that were done today. Council, do you have a preference? Go ahead, Latasha. Finish your thought.
No, I didn't mean to unmute. I'm sorry.
Okay. Council?
I know we talked about in the work session, there were documents that were I'm not sure, coming forward to us, a recommendation for city manager. So I'm not sure where we are with that. So that's what I was hoping Latasha will cover something else on it.
The documents that Latasha needed were sent to her by email with Jimmy Tarlow and Brooke Kidd earlier today with their list and the ones that will cover the business license fees as well as the CDMA fees. And they all agree that process is complete. But the thought I think Daniel is referring to is, do we need to vote on it at the legislative meeting? With Latasha reviewing the charter, the city manager can approve and move forward with it. My purpose for wanting to put it on there was to document.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's good for us to document it so that way it's also a way to show the support of like mayor and council towards the decision the city manager is taking, so that way later on if the information is written, it's not seen as like she just took it without letting us know or informed us.
Well, if our records are well kept and whatever, they should be in the minutes, or not in the minutes, but in her documentation, including the process. I've heard from one city council member. Do I need to hear from another? Hello, Luke.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
Thank you. Scott Cecil, what's your stand on this one? Let it go. Let's move. We spent a lot of time on this. We could be done move this agenda. I can move it without it.
Yeah, if you two want to add it, that's fine. I'm probably just going to abstain because it sounds like the city manager already did it.
Brian, any opinion?
Move that we add it to the agenda.
Thank you so much. Latasha, please add it to the agenda and just give us a report that it has been accomplished and tell us where we are with the status. Thank you. So we're not approving it. We're simply getting the report on it as an official action by the city manager. And you can put it anywhere on the agenda you want. It doesn't have to be at the top. Daniel, thank you so much for pointing that out, because we did say we would.
You're welcome, city mayor, manager. I mean, city mayor and council and the manager.
Thank you. All right, that brings us, did we approve the agenda? All those in favor of the agenda with the addition, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we have an agenda. First order of business, having approved it, is to go to mayor and council for event announcements. I'm gonna start with Ward 2 this month on the 1st.
I don't have any announcements.
All right, Mr. Cecil?
I'll just say I have a bunch of stuff going on and have been doing a lot of public speaking and have a lot of it coming up. So hopefully you're following me on my personal channels to learn about those. But I'll spare you while we're in this meeting.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go to Ward 1.
Yeah, when it comes to event announcement, we had our food distribution today on Tuesday because the Cap Area Food Bank is going to be doing inventory. So the next food distribution at Queenstown at 3301 is going to be March 11. The Tuesday food distribution at the firehouse will continue, and that starts at 8 a.m. And obviously, like the food pantry will also be giving out food at 9:30 this Saturday. We are working with Clínica del Pueblo to try to bring the HIV testing van and information. So that resource is also there and available as we continue to bring other resources and do collect a little mini multiple fairs of health to bring services to the community. So that is my announcements at this point, and big shout out to the school service have already been submitted. It looked like 30% of the schools are going to be coming back, so schools starting up next month. So be aware for more information from the PTOs who have given an outstanding report, and also Dr. Goldstein and the Board of Education. So we're looking forward to seeing some of the kids hybrid back to school on Mondays and Wednesdays coming up next month. So it's exciting, but as parents, you get to choose what you want to do, and they're respecting the decision you make. So I think that's a very big growth, because not everybody feels as comfortable as sending their kids back. So you'll see quite a few little ones walking around back to school coming up.
Very good. All right, Luke.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 30th, I'm working with the Green Team. We're going to host a meeting, a Zoom meeting on March 30th at 7 p.m. About the new Native Plant Network legislation that we passed. And we're going to talk about that legislation, and we're going to talk about the work that's going to go into getting homes certified for being a part of the Native Plant Network. And some education about the importance of planting native. And it should just be a really good event. talking about all things native planting just in time for your spring planting and gardening. So if you would like to join that meeting, you can shoot me an email, lchesick@mountrainiermd.org, and we can get you the Zoom link for that call. The Green Team will also be posting things on social media. Again, that's March 30th at 7 p.m. Also, if you're interested in joining the Sierra Club's Maryland chapter's work group on creating a native plant and wildlife corridor across the state, I'm helping to chair that for the Sierra Club. Our next meeting is March 25th. You can sign up on the Sierra Club on the Sierra Club's Maryland chapter's website. You just type in Sierra Club Maryland chapter to Google, and you can find the calendar there. Sign up for the event, and you can get the Zoom link there. And there is a push right now from the Sierra Club's Maryland chapter to save Guilford Woods, which is a 15-acre tract of woods on the University of Maryland's campus that they are thinking of just bulldozing over for development. There are other places for development on the campus at the University of Maryland. They do not need to destroy this really beautiful 15-acre tract of land that has a creek and just a really nice forest that is hard to find in these parts of town. So if you're interested in sending a letter to the president of the University of Maryland, you can reach out to me as well. It probably wasn't really an event, so I apologize for talking too much there. And that's all I got.
Oh, well, I have an announcement, but I'm not sure how to make the announcement first or make it last. I'm going to probably go with the climate action plan. There's going to be a virtual community meeting. Our own Mary Abe, who lives right here in our city, will be working with the Department of Environment. It's going to be held on March the 4th. It's a virtual meeting from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And if you wish to participate in that, you can call this number, which is 240-539-0511, and get more information. Certainly hope you will participate. I will be participating in that. I'm not even sure what I'm going to be doing, but Mary said I'm doing it, and I'm doing it. So I'll be there. Probably one of the few things I'm going to probably get done between now and the 1st of May. I've spoken to, I think, each of my council members and the city manager, and to a few folks who have actually said, all right, what are you doing? It's time to get started for the election. I have made that long, hard decision. I am willing, ready, and quite prepared to allow anyone else who would like to be mayor that wants to do this job or get on our council to please step forward and do it. My family and I have discussed this for almost 2 years. And Brian can tell you, I've threatened for 2 years to just resign. I'm not even certain I could make it to this day that I could say I'm out of here. But officially today, which I told a few of you, March 1st, I will make a decision. And I think the decision was 95% I'm out. And today it's 100%. I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much. I mean, it has been an honor, a privilege, and sometimes really difficult job. But for the most part, it's been one of the, I guess, solid pieces of my life living here in Mount Rainier. To see where we were, to see where we are, and to even hope where our future will be. I know that those who were here long before I got here and those who have stuck with me throughout this process can actually say that Mount Rainier is not what it used to be. It's not what it's going to be. And it certainly is not what I hope it to be. But I know we are well on that road to get there. When I first took over, I think Brian would remember, I had a couple of slogans. I had one about DC being a destination. And then I gave it another one, and somehow the other one got lost too. But as I can sit back and look over where we are, it's not only a destination. People are paying $700,000 to get into this neighborhood. They're willing to pay it. And the only concern I have, and I said it to Brian in 2 different ways in the last 48 hours, I certainly don't mean that we start all over and have an all-white neighborhood and community again, because a lot of Black folks can't afford to be here, even now. I certainly hope that I don't look back in 5 years and see that I have an all-white council and Blacks are too scared to run as they used to be in the many days before. I certainly look forward to not seeing all white male council. I think women have arrived. I think when women need to take their destination and take over that council or anything else they feel they're willing and able to do. Being the first or the only, it sounds good. But after a while, when do you stop being the first? When do you stop being the only? And when do you start becoming a part of just because? Just because you are there, you are part of that community. One of the distressing things I heard from a report on a meeting that took place earlier this week that involves Mount Rainier. How can we not want a park because of who lives there or who may use it? That distresses me to no end. But that attitude is still here. That attitude will continue to be here until each of us decide that that does not work for me. And I will take my stand and take my role in terms of making it the place that everybody feels comfortable and everybody wants to be here. I am not leaving the city. And with the mouth I have on me, I probably won't be quiet either. But I certainly wish everybody the best going forward. I wish my residents and my constituents and my supporters who have all started screaming at me on the phone and sending me these emails about they're going to write me in, don't write me in, write me out, but don't write me out of the city. Thank you all so much. I'll write something eventually, but I wanted to use tonight to say thank you for an awesome ride. There's nothing on earth like it, and I've done a lot of things, but this has been the trip of a lifetime. I started in 1987, and I'm walking out today in 2021, and I feel good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Miles. Not only, I don't think you're walking out, I think you're just transitioning positions, but I mean, I think some people don't realize that you've also been the longest serving mayor for the city of Mount Rainier. That's something that is it doesn't happen very often in any city. So I'm really excited to see how much Mount Rainier has changed during my time, how much Mount Rainier changed through all of your time. You know, it's great, like you said. You know, people were hesitant to be here. Now everybody's trying to get in here, and people, the houses are not sitting. They're not sitting 1 second longer than they need to. Some of the houses don't even make it to the market before. And I had a very strong conversation with you, and I told you I needed to know where you stood. You know, because I was not I would not run against you. You know, I think you still have a lot to like bring to the community, a lot of stuff that you've done, and I waited patiently, and I would like to officially declare I will be running for mayor, and I hope I'm half as good as a mayor you've been, and happy to serve the city of Mount Rainier in any capacity, and this would be ideal for me to serve. So with plenty of respect and happiness, I would love to hold your position, and hopefully the voters feel the same way. So I'm very excited and sad at the same time, but also feel like whether I'm council or mayor, I could always come to you and ask for advice because you've done so much for the city. So there you go. So official notice.
It's official. Thank you. Thank you. And I thank each one of you. You have your strengths and you have what you've contributed, and I hope that you will not stop. This is a journey for the community. I'll often say that you can elect me, but after you elect me, what happens? That's when the work starts. And I certainly don't want anybody to walk away. Don't put me in office and leave me because can't get it done alone. All right? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I'm ready to move this agenda. I don't get to do this many more times, Luke. You're vice mayor. I might not have to show up anymore. Thank you. All right, let's go to closed session notes and minutes so that we can get them in the records, please.
Okay, I can get to the close. Oh, I just had them and I lost them. Okay, so on February 2nd, 2021 at 9 p.m., we held a closed session. Councilmember Brian Nedler made the motion to go into closed session, and Councilmember Selena Benitez seconded the motion. We closed the meeting under Section 3305B3 and 7. 3, to consider the acquisition of real property, and 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. There was a consensus vote to go into closed session. It was unanimous. All of us were in attendance, including our city manager, Latasha, and our city attorney, Alyssa. The actions taken were to request a recommendation from city staff on financing, and the topics discussed were the status of contract negotiations for the purchase of property and financing options, and there were no relevant notes. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think we just have to get them read into the notes so that we know that the meetings occurred and that the fair summary has been provided. We are now ready for public comments. Do we have anyone signed up in the chat or otherwise that would like to have public comments?
John or Jared, do we have anything?
I have none so far.
All right, thank you both very, very much. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which would be the variance request for 4109 34th Street.
I can take that one, Mayor, if you like.
I would appreciate it very much.
This was a variance required because the owner wants to, he has a double garage, but the driveway only goes to one door. I don't know the history of that one. But because of he's already over the lot coverage that's allowed, but he would like to have a driveway to the other part of the garage. I didn't hear any objections from the council, so this did not go to the DRB. But the zoning board, they keep changing the rules on us. The old days, if we didn't say anything, they just assumed that we were okay. Now we have to actually tell them we have no objections in writing, according to Alma. So all we got to do is, if there are no objections to this project, vote to that, to say that, and then have the city manager or Alma send the zoning board that decision. That's it.
And what's the pleasure of the council?
I would move that we have no objections to this project.
Second.
All right. Since it's been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion from anyone? Hearing none, all those in favor of having the letter drafted that says that the city has no objection, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Latasha, let's get that out as quickly as we can. Thank you. Since this item, I don't know where she put my item on here regarding this, the fees.
You can do it now, Mayor, right here.
All right. Can you show me where? Because I think it should go right here.
I didn't put it in, but we can add it right here.
I'll just bring it out. But if you add it right there, I'd like to have on record that the mayor and council at its work session discussed not once but twice the idea of not imposing business license fees on those small businesses in the city that may have continued to struggle during the pandemic. And in part of that, the MRBA has also agreed to not charge CDMA fees. So we worked with them on that the last couple of days. I talked to Latasha about it. I've spoken with Brooke Kidd about it. And so I would like for Latasha to bring us up to date for the record on what is the current status of that decision made by the body. Latasha?
Yes, I was turning on my camera.
Thank you.
So we, MRBA submitted a list to the city, to myself, Alma, Uck, and Chief, and also Mr. Hopkins, a list of businesses who have asked for a waiver. They submitted that list today, and the waiver was granted today to those businesses on the list. So their CDMA fees and their business license fee was waived, and they were issued. They were issued.
How many businesses?
I'm sorry.
How many businesses again?
I think it was about 18 or 20.
Okay, very good. And there was a process in which the MRBA contacted each of the businesses, made their discussions, and then submitted a recommendation. And those are the ones that have been approved.
Correct.
I would like to see those attached to these minutes for future reference.
Will do.
Any comments from the council? Any further action needed by the council? And Latasha, as you've done in the past, would you make that item number 6, 7, or make it number 7, 8, whichever under old business? I think it should go up there under old business.
Yes, I believe that I'm still having, oh, no, I'm not having difficulties. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, I got you.
All right, thank you so much. And we don't need to vote on it, I'm told, but we do need to have it there for the record that it is a consensus of the council to do that. And so in the active notes that John issues tomorrow, please make sure that item is on there. Thank you. That takes us to number 8, which will be, and I can handle this from over here now. I figured this thing out. I got a whole new process. 8. Mount Rainier Art Commission, that's going to be Luke, and I'm looking at 2021 Art Mural Project.
Thank you, Mayor.
Please, Luke.
Okay. I think the Arts Commission is here to present the mural for this year. If you remember, we agreed on a budget and process back in the fall, and they have gone ahead with the call out for the artists, and they're going to present the results of that call out for us and a recommendation for the project moving forward. And I will turn it over to, I see Alex is here, Joseph, whoever wants to take over for me, jump right in.
I have a point.
Sorry, I only have a couple minutes, so I'm going to let Joe give the presentation.
There, a point of order.
Hold on, I got a point of order.
How much time are you allocating to this, please?
But let me go up. I don't know if they didn't put it on the agenda, did they?
Well, that's because we're in a regular meeting, but we've got other things to do tonight.
Oh, we do. Council, because it's going to be, I think the decisions have been made unless we're going to vote on it tonight. Why don't we allot them 10 minutes, and if they go over that, maybe give them 2 more. So let's say a total of 12 minutes and get it over with. Do you need that much time, Luke?
I think they need 5 minutes to present, and we need about probably 5 to 10 minutes to discuss.
That gives you your 12 minutes. So let's do it. Thank you so much.
Can the presenter let me know when to move to the next slide, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and Mayor Miles, thanks for your service, and to all the council members, I appreciate your service as well. Considering working on this commission, we've really learned a lot about what you guys do for us, so thank you. I will try to be concise. This is a presentation on the 34th Street mural. We have a recommendation that we'd like to share with you, and we'd like to take you through our process so you have a better understanding of how we acquired our decision, or our recommendation, pardon me. Next slide, please. First, we posted the call. It was a local call requested for artist RFQs. We used publicartist.org, which was a similar process from last year. We did that so that some of the services allowed us to, use voting and tallying and records in an open way. We also posted it on the Mount Rainier Arts Commission webpage. As you can see on the right, that's a screenshot. We announced it on all of Mount Rainier City's social media with other local posts, including the Gateway Arts District and their platform. We posted it on eCity Art, which is a very large local artist call and submission and gallery review site, as well as numerous local artist organizations and local art studios from our email list acquired by MRAC members and from previous lists hosted by the city. Next slide, please. The process kind of went through 3 major dates, 3 major bullet points here. The first one is we received 29 applications. The commission members and the property owner evaluated those artists on publicartist.org and whittled down the selection process to 8. And then in the next 2 meetings, we held a public meeting on December 7th to review all 8, and another public meeting on January 26th to review the finalist submissions. Next slide, please. On the public meeting on December 7th, we received public comment and discussed among MRAC members and the property owner, and came to the conclusion of 3 of the artists to submit proposals. We requested Fan Huang from Baltimore, Maryland, Jared Farrier from Washington, D.C., and Eric Ricks from Germantown, Maryland. All three artists submitted their proposals on time. Next slide, please. This is just a side-by-side of the visuals of all three submissions, just to kind of give you a point of reference. I'll review each one individually. Next slide, please. The first one by Fan Huang from Baltimore, Maryland, I basically took a sentence from each one of their artist narratives to just give you a little bit more background about the particular idea behind the work. She's an abstract painter, and this work is it's a landscape is inspired by the moments when you happen to glance up into the sky or the horizon at the end of your day while the sun is setting, the ones where you witness the most vivid and intense colors that can only happen at that moment and can never be captured on your phone. Next slide, please. This is from Jared Farrier. His proposal was titled Comes Round, Goes Round. First, the title of the piece, Comes Round, Goes Round, is an homage to small business owners. It's a reference in a way to buy local, all shop in your store, then you will shop in mine, lift all boats. Again, another kind of abstract design motif for the building. Next slide, please. This is from Eric Ricks. His proposal was titled A Place of Wonderful Memories, inspired by Mount Rainier's staunch commitment to the arts and overall charm of the historic Route 1 Gateway community. A Place of Wonderful Memories embodies the core of a vibrant city, the history of intimate neighborhoods, and a diverse business community locals are proud to claim as their forever home. Next slide, please. So upon January 26th public meeting, we received public comment and debated amongst members and the property owner, and we are recommending, next slide, please. The big reveal. We're recommending Eric Ricks' proposal, mainly because he received unanimous vote from the MRAC members and the property owner. His proposal received the most support from the tenants in the building, which we thought was important information considering they're the business owners that will be interacting with the mural that may have an effect on their business. We also know Eric is a professional with a long portfolio of experience on the national level. He's a tried and true artist. Eric also lived in Cottage City and is really local and was really excited to be part of this project when we spoke with him. We had a quick Zoom meeting with him last week. So he's excited to move forward. So next, I have a couple of extra images. Next slide, please. These are just an example of some of his work of murals around DC, just to give you the opportunity to understand his capability and his artistry. We're fully confident that he will perform a really great service to our community. He's clearly a talented artist with plenty of experience. Next slide, please. This is another mural in DC. Again, size and scope is definitely relevant with a very good skill. Next slide, please. This is another DC mural that he used, and I added this one because it's a little bit more in reference to his proposal that we would like to put in 34th Street. And next slide, please. And this is, again, his proposal that we recommend for your consideration, minus the yellow arrows. Of course, that's part of our digital documentation. And so we appreciate your consideration. If you approve this, then we are ready to move forward into contract, and his schedule would be to implement this mural by the end of March. So we're on a pretty tight schedule if we decide to be. So again, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I'll be here for any questions.
I have smiled through this whole presentation because I enjoyed reviewing it before I got here. I went through the slides really, really fast, and the other ones reminded me of me because I like to dabble in paint. Eric, where's the painting? Come on. I like to dabble. But then I got to the very last one and I said, oh my gosh, that's the one I want. And I'm so glad that at the end that was the one you recommended. Because when I be dabbling, I got a few little things.
Yeah.
and the very first one reminded me of me. And I said, oh, got to pass that one. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And the great thing is that when you're not in office, you'll be able to submit to our open calls as well. So we look forward to your submissions.
Well, Brooke has actually offered me a showing one day of all the ones I have in my house, and I'm reluctant to be laughed out of the city by bringing them down there to show to everybody. So I keep them locked up. Thank you. Council, please respond.
I will just say there is a lot of work that goes into this. A lot of work, like just getting the posting up, the call out. These guys hustle, and I just want to say thank you to all of them for their work, and I appreciate the recommendation and support it. Thank you.
All right, Brian, where are you on this one? And Scott, you've been very quiet, so maybe I should go to you first.
All right.
What do you think about the presentation, the one recommendation?
Thanks for the presentation. You picked my favorite of the three as well. So great job. And thanks everybody for your work.
All right. Thank you. All right. Let's hear you, Brian.
So I just also want to thank the Arts Commission. You've been doing a really great job, and it was a little cranky at the beginning, but I think you've got a smooth process going now. And thank you, Luke, for helping with that. It turns out that was my favorite also, but I am not an artist and have no training whatsoever. It's just a gut reaction. But I'm happy to know that the real experts were on the same page with me. So
I love it. Selena?
I'm definitely in love with it. I went to the 3 of them. That's the one I selected as well. So when the reveal
5 out of 5.
I was like, yes, because I love the way it plays with the shadows and also with the content that is there. So it does make you feel like you're walking into the painting. But at the same time, every time you looked at it, it feels a little bit different. So outstanding job of the commission. Also, when it came to the outreach, you hit a lot of the points that we had talked in the previously. See, notice how the shadow it even works with the things that are in location as well, like the poles and also the meter in the bottom, as you can see. So it was yeah, I feel like every year that you guys are doing this, every new edition, it's like you guys are getting the fine tune, and this is I'm looking forward to like looking at this, and maybe some of the signage that were being recommended could be towards our murals as well to guide people through town so they could follow them. So thank you so much for that.
I believe we have to vote on this now, so it becomes official. And so the recommendation is the third, what is it? I think he said the showing, the reveal. I'm sorry. Since I think we got 5 out of 5, the answer is very easy. All those in favor of voting for number 3, the reveal, let it be. Well, I need a motion.
I move that we approve of the recommendation from the Arts Commission for the mural for 2021.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the reveal, which is what I think we should name it, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
The opposed? Hearing none, thank you so much. Awesome job. It was easy. Yes, thank you so much.
Mayor?
Okay, Mr. Yes, I saw a hand.
Hey, it's Scott Cecil. I just wanted to abstain from the vote only because I still don't understand what we're voting for. And what I mean is, it's what came up with the last one for the Pennyrail Station building. What would happen if we voted no? It seems like the Arts Commission already made the decision and that's what they're supposed to do. And they should just present it to us and that's it, in my opinion. So I'm gonna abstain.
All right, then 4 out of 5. We all like it, but 4 of us want to vote for it. So thank you so very much. Let the records reflect. All right, may we go to abandoned vehicles?
Okay, this is mine. This is second reading. I did unfortunately find a typo. It's just a typo. It's easily corrected. Sorry, John. I know you asked me to read it, and I did. In section, I put my glasses on. That helped. In subsection 5, the new language, it says, as an alternative to towing the vehicle or vehicles, the city of Mount Rainier may, the word may is missing. So that's the only thing there. There's no verb in that sentence. May after providing the proper notice. So if we could just get that added before we sign it, I don't think we need to do an amendment. Obviously, it was meant to have the word may there. It wouldn't be shall because everything else is may. So I apologize. Anyway, to give a summary of the ordinance, this is basically allowing the city code compliance another option for dealing with abandoned or non-roadworthy vehicles. As our code currently stands, they basically are forced to go onto private property to give notice to the landowner or property owner. And then again, our police department and code compliance have to actually go in and tow the vehicle off the property if the property owner is not compliant. So this gives an alternative that they could, after giving proper notice, they could fine the property owner for the period of time that the vehicle remains on the property, or they don't get it licensed, or whatever the problem is. And it also reduces the amount of penalty because we've been talking about doing that throughout our code. And that is the gist of what this is.
Okay. Let me go to Scott Cecil in Ward 2 for comments.
Brian, I just have a question that hadn't occurred to me till just now.
Okay.
Should we be worried that since the language says fine the property owner, what about renters? Like, does that mean that the person who owns my house would get fined if I have a non-roadworthy vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. So the property owner.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it, because they, if you're renting, your property owner is going to make sure that you comply with the city code. Otherwise, it would be really hard to. So also understand, with our city code, if somebody doesn't pay the fine, we put a lien on the property.
That's what I wanted you to say.
Yeah, that's the only way we can get the actual money in the end, is that we have that ability as a municipality to put a lien on the property, the real property. That's the only way we could do it.
And that's the real reason that we've always done it that way. All right, thank you. Any other question? That was a good one, because sometimes people don't understand why we do what we do. So good explanation and good question. Let me go to Ward 1.
I'm all good. Thanks for your work, Brian.
Brian,
Yes.
I had a question, just clarification for the public. So the person, if you do it in public property and you cannot tow it, they'll pay the fine. But what if they sign a waiver saying they could tow it? Would that allow them, that action allowed to be taken place through this ordinance?
You mean they would want the city to tow it off of the private property?
Yeah, if they say like tow it, it's happened before. They say like, okay, tow it. I will not pay any fines after the original fine.
That would be up to code compliance how they want to handle it. They now have the option of either towing it or fining them. So they could work with the property owner, I guess. You're right, they could, but they're then going to have to pay the city for the cost of towing and storage. So I wouldn't think that would be a way they would really want to go, but that would be a negotiation. But yeah, there is that option. Yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's clear, because some people might say like, you know what? I've been waiting to get rid of this car. Just get rid of it. Like, no big deal. All right. Thank you, Brian. And this is just private property, right?
Right, but this is private property. Let me mention,
Right.
any public television station or radio station will gladly tow a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Sell it.
And so will Salvation Army and
Yeah,
Salvation Army and Goodwill. But
Yeah,
that
so-
doesn't solve that problem you raised, Selena. And let's say that we may be leaning and fining the property owner, but my lender owned the car and I'm just renting. That's what Scott just asked you. There's no skin off my back, the owner of the car, and so we just let it sit. It sits for how long? A lot of our landlords too are absentee landlords. They're somewhere outside of this area. And so we would hope that our penalties would be sufficient to make that landlord take action, as opposed to the city ending up towing it because we allow code to make that decision. And we tow it. The landlord said, well, you towed it. It ain't my car.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the landlord, the owner of the property would be the one with the lien at the end. So they definitely would have incentive to get that renter to come into compliance.
That was what we would hope. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, both of you. Great questions and great explanations. Appreciate it. What's your pleasure moving forward? Those. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2-2021.
With the correction of may change to?
Yeah, the word may, it should be inserted.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded. I am supposed to and should have done it earlier to ask the public if they had any comment. No, we've already done it. I'm not in a work session. I can keep going. Thank you. All right. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, ordinance 2-2021 is approved. Thank you so much. Let's remember to sign them. Mount Rainier Board of Elections. Do we have our members from the board here or any representatives? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, Mayor, they're on the call.
Thank you so very much. The mayor and council has worked on this now for quite some time. We started it back in November. I started it back January of 2020, and we are now down to the wire. We've made some changes to this ordinance, and we also now need to appoint and approve our members. So I would like to have a fair summary of this from the city manager, the Board of Election, and then the names read out that have come forward that wish to be appointed.
I'll defer to the Board of Election member.
Thank you so much.
Nicole, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, great.
I'm here.
Nicole, you have the floor.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, for the opportunity and for the work done to expand the number of appointees. This has definitely been a topic of conversation for a while now, and we really appreciate the opportunity to make this happen. While we received a couple of, let me start over. We received several resumes and interested candidates for the board, and we did go through a lengthy process of talking, sharing, having everyone meet the board. Some people opted to bow out. Some people didn't live in the city and on the voter registration list, and there were a number of things we had to weed through, but we were able to do so, and very excited to say that that was done. And so what we wanted to do today was we presented to the board our the three candidates that went through the process. The entire board voted on who we thought would be good for joining the team, especially going into this election season and knowing that there is work to be done. And we need solid, qualified, excited members of the board to join us. And we have presented to council that our recommendation for the board is Thomas Del Rue, Ward 2. Thomas is located on 4222 31st Street. In Mount Rainier, we have Tara Graham. Tara's in Ward 1. She's on 3101 Webster Street. And we have Charnette Robinson, Ward 1, 3506 Perry Street. And the board recommends that the mayor and council would see fit to approve and appoint these members to our board.
Awesome. It's always exciting when we have more people trying to get onto our committees and team than we have slots for. And just as a Melinda Miles personal privilege as mayor, I just want to thank you all for the job you've done. I want to thank you for taking that invite how many other years ago, and I just chose you out of nowhere, and you stepped forward to say thank you for an awesome job. And I look forward to the 3 new appointees falling in there and working as hard as the current team has worked. Brian can agree with me. You all have been a better election board and team than we've ever seen in this city, even before we got here. And to have you all over the last few years, I can't praise you enough. Thank you. Council, any comments, whatever, motion?
I'll start. I'll start. Thank you, board. I'll second the mayor's comments about their efficiency and how well you've been running things, especially with this particular situation that we're running into now, which is unprecedented. It's been said so many times.
It is. It's unprecedented.
I think we're gonna that word. That's probably the most used word of the year. Anyway, I'm just gonna. You vetted these folks. I don't know these folks. I know Charnette, of course, but I'm just going to make a motion that we appoint it's 3 people, right? Oh wait, yes. I had a question. So, are you completely filled up to the total number now?
We're not. We still have room for 2 alternates.
Okay. Anyway, I'll make a motion that we appoint the 3 individuals that the Board of Elections has recommended.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any other discussion, debate, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to appoint the 3 recommended new members to the Mount Rainier Board of Election, let it be known by aye.
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 That's 2 ayes. Where's that other eye?
Aye.
There, I have 3. Thank you. That the motion carries. I also vote in support of them. So that will give us 4. All right. So we now have a new election board appointments of 3 people. They do have to go through all of the training. You do know the training. So that they are adequately prepared. And you all don't have to pick them all up in one van and drive into the election board and make them stay all day long till it's done. Just do what you've been doing. Great job. Thank you. And thanks for being here tonight.
I would just suggest, Mayor, maybe you might be looking at being an alternate on that board.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of opportunities coming up.
Brian, that sounds like an amazing recommendation.
And I was thinking Amazing Grace. Thank you so much. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which has to do with amending Chapter 2, Assessment and Taxation and Fees. I don't know who put that on there.
I think that the city attorney didn't understand that we were going to go back to work session with that one, but Selena dropped off? Did we lose Selena?
I'm here.
I'm going to let you.
No, I specifically talked to the city manager and to the city attorney to let her know that this is something that we were not ready for, that it was going to be brought back to work session for us to look at it. She decided to submit it earlier. There was a confusion between legislative and work session, but we have it now for us to review and make our suggestions and bring it back to a work session. So this is nowhere to be ready for vote.
Yeah, I see a
So I'll pull it out.
Yeah, I see a typo, John, in section 1. There's section A. It says that there's 5 use classes. It's obviously should be 6 because we're adding a 6. So
that's right.
It was just an oversight that we need to amend that a little bit.
All right. Thank you all so very much.
Matt?
Let's make sure. Go ahead. Okay. You have the floor, Scott.
Thank you. I just want to ask a question of the group. Yeah, I saw via email that Selena communicated, that she wants to do this for FY 2023, but I'm not sure that the group decided that's what they wanted. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but my intention was that we would move forward for this upcoming fiscal year. And I'm just wondering, are we saying 2023 because we're beyond the deadline with which we can make those changes? Or are we saying 2023 because that's what Selena said? Or did I miss the memo on that?
There was no memo particularly that the group has decided on. As I think was adequately stated earlier, this should not be on this agenda. It has not gone to work session. The person, Selena, council member, who submitted the comments about it, suggesting that can do that. We have not gotten to work session for any of us to say 2021, 2023, this year, or next year. But that is her recommendation. but it will be on the work session for next Thursday. And then we could say, no, we don't like it. No, we want to do it for this year, but it shouldn't be here. That's the end of the question for me. It really shouldn't have been there. So I apologize for missing that, even in the review of the agenda today. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. May I please go to interim city manager? Interim city manager will present the fiscal year 2020 budget to mayor and city council.
Yes. Hi, how is everyone tonight? So I'm going to actually turn this over to Mr. Rawlins, our finance director. He's going to present the budget on my behalf. And I'm going to pull up his PowerPoint. Mr. Rawlins, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. How we okay.
Pretty pictures.
You ready, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Managers, and those who have joined us on the call. I'm here to present on behalf of our City Manager the recommended budget for fiscal year 22. What we're going to go through in the budget highlights in the interest of time, basically go through this presentation, and then definitely we'll take questions. We'll look at the budget schedule, the budget overview, budget breakdown, and questions. Can everybody hear me? I should have asked that question. Is it clear? Okay. Busy month, as we can see right now. This is the our presentation, and then within 2 weeks we have the public notice for the proposed FY22 rates, which is working with the constant yield and something that we have to normally do. Also, then on the last Saturday of March is our first public hearing and council work session for to have communication among those in the departments and also others, the committees, to speak in terms of the budget proposal that we have for FY22. Then in April, we have budget reconciliation and rebalance, so that we look to April 6th for the first reading of the ordinance adopting the FY22 budget and tax rates, with the second reading also in April. I may say that this is probably a little different this year. I think we've moved probably by a month the schedule, but we're just going to work towards it, and that's where we're moving to this point. Next slide. Budget overview. These are the goals, similar to what was last year, to maintain proper infrastructure within the budget that's adopted and sustain the city standards, pay current costs with current funds, and try to, and assess, alleviate much reliance on debt service that we already have, maintain a current tax rate and tax structure, and to enhance our continue to work on fiscal accountability and transparency, definitely through the business programs and staffing. Budget breakdown. We look at an impact on our sources of funds in comparison to FY21. We do have the continuing increase of revenues in this budget that is planned, basically with the assessments still going up. Just to share some information on, again, take this opportunity for 21, I can tell you currently our real estate taxes we have received $4,448,000 in comparison to the budget of $4,400,000. So we're basically $49,000 over our budget in real estate taxes and still have months left for the fiscal year. In fact, at this time last year, in February, we was at 4.1 million, so we're at 4.4. And the other major tax source is the state income tax. And basically, surprisingly, we're at $454,000. compared to $540,000 that we have in the budget. And again, we still have about some months left the fiscal year. So, but we were still conservative in terms of the income tax revenues, because it's going to be really this year for those who are filing for taxes, and where you're going to see a decline in FY22 because of what is taking place from last year with the COVID-19 environment. Another area where we have increase is fines and forfeitures by 71%. And that's basically the speed camera program. And I could tell you that as of today, we've basically, with this program, have collected about $141,000. I know it was $200,000 in the budget. They basically have increased it to $500,000 in this budget for FY22. $141,000 we've collected for since November to February. So that's just about 4 months. And basically there's still some that is outstanding in tickets. These are just related to the paid. But it is anticipated and with positivity that when we look to return to a different type of environment, or you could say normal, there's going to be increased activity that police expects in this particular area. So that is going to have a potential more revenues coming from the speed camera program. This gives us a little sense of, on the pie chart, basically our sources of funds. 70% of it is tax revenues, 10% is with license permits, and 10% is with fines and forfeitures, which I can see that increase in the speed camera program has got it up to about 10% different what it was before. Next slide. Breakdown and impact on the uses of funds, which is our expenses in comparison to FY21. We have a included in the budget an overall 3% increase in wages. There's an increase in wages due to an additional request for a police officer and staff accounting and finance. Increase in wages due to salary adjustments for promotions in the police department and city department. I believe the police department has about 5 officers in terms of promotion rate based on their salary scale. And continue, as usual, continue increase in medical and workers' compensation insurance. These are 2 line items I've always seen every budget seem to always increase. Funds to purchase 3 vehicles and capital improvement in police department. And then, even though we have these increases, there is a 66% decrease in contingency. Contingency is around, for this year, is around $552,000. It's going to be $190,000 in FY22. And this is how we look in the use of funds. Not surprisingly, that wages takes up that, and employee benefit and services takes up most of the pie on this slide with the expenses. Staffing summary by department. I'll give you an idea in how we're allocated among the 46 staff of 46. And ongoing developments. To continue assistance to Mount Rainier businesses through the Mount Rainier Incentive Fund. You know, as I come out the office in the evening, it's kind of interesting to see now we have some businesses that's there with Dora Kitchen and the new restaurant, and it's even delightful to see that, being that we're the first city that you enter into Prince George's County. I mean, you just see a little great potential that's developing now in Mount Rainier. and it's something to see in the evenings. Enhancing our innovative and programs designing to improve business sources and attractive services. We do have a COP grant, which I think is including here, definitely $41,500 to fund a officer. And still, even though I even heard the governor spoke today, still have to pay attention to, the updates of how to impact on safety and financial and operational environment, particularly with the post-COVID-19, so that make us be aware, at least in terms of seeing what will take place in the future. And this is the slide looking at our budgets from 19 to 22. If you'll notice, in 21, it's 7.4 million, but this year is $106,000 less, which is FY22.
Ray, let me interject right there.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, I just point of note, I presented a decreased budget even with adding 2 positions. Brian is laughing because you guys know how I am a stickler for budgets. I just wanted to show, even with adding 2 positions, the budget has decreased.
And you weren't going to let that go unnoticed either.
No, I was not.
Well, it kind of ties to the slide after seeing the uses, but you see what has happened here, what has happened overall, which is important. But I think we come to, is that it? To last. So, any questions?
Council,
I have a question.
you have the floor, Brian.
So have we gotten the numbers from the state on the new assessment cycle?
You mean the yeah.
Property assessment.
Real property, yeah.
Real property assessment.
Yes.
And so did it go up, down, stay the same?
It did go up. There's only, I can't think of it now, one that kind of stayed flat, but most of them all have gone up.
Do you have a percent? I know it varies from property to property, but is there a percentage that you could throw out there? You don't have to do it now if you don't want to, but
I do have it. I can get it to you, or I have to go look for it.
No. You said it's just, this is our biggest concerns. We weren't sure what the pandemic was going to do, and hitting at the same time they were reassessing our real property, which is our biggest revenue source. So it sounds like you're not overly concerned that we're going to have a huge drop.
No, I can tell you, being conservative of, I believe, in our revenues, we have in here of 4.4. I have $4.4,090,000, and I can tell you, even for this year, we're going to even surpass that. So I feel comfortable on the fact that with the assessments going up and we maintaining the rates, we're going to be in good shape. But I can, again, have no problem sharing that with you in terms of the assessment.
Oh, well, just so you know, for historic purposes, we've been trying to drop that rate by at least a penny every year because the values have gone up so dramatically. So it is not a done deal that rate is going to stay where it is at the moment. But that's another day discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll be happy to share what I came up with all those properties, and then he can maybe help you what you want to do then from there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Remember, we're just kind of getting a presentation. I see your hand, Scott. Excuse me.
Yeah, knowing that we're going to have plenty of time for questions and discussion later, I do want to ask one question now, and also just want to say thank you, as I'm sure everyone else is going to do too. Thank you to Latasha and to Director Rollins for a clear, concise, easy to understand yet thorough explanation. We haven't always gotten that in the past from the people who preceded you in your positions. So thank you. It's breath of fresh air. The question I have is, Mr. Rollins, you at one point in the presentation, I'm just looking at my notes here. You noted a 66% decrease in the contingency. Can you explain what you meant by that? I sort of, with divided attention, missed the specifics on that. What did you mean by that?
Only that the contingency line item that's in the FY21 budget, the amount is $552,000. The amount that's in the FY22 budget is dropped down to $190,000.
But point of clarity, remember we did a budget amendment where we added, I think, almost $400,000 to the contingency back in October. So the original for FY21 was about 200,000. I don't want to say we found money, but when Mr. Rollins said, we had that extra so forth that was unaccounted for, it was added to contingency. So that's why it's a 66%. But in actuality, if you look at what was originally there, it's not that big of a jump.
That makes sense. You mentioned that it's a line item. What line in the budget are you referring to so that I can see it with my own eyes?
Oh, it is called contingency in the, let me see.
You can also answer this later offline if that's easier.
Okay,
And that's all the questions I had.
I'll get you the account number that you can see. And that was just a comparison from year to year. That's what I was only making.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Hearing no one else, thank you so very much for the presentation of the budget that we will be working on over the next few weeks, months, and hopefully by the end of the year, the end of the year, the end of the time allotted, we will have a balanced budget for those coming forward on July 1. So thank you so very much, Council. Our work is cut out. Thank you. May I see the agenda, please? Oh, it's already there. Thank you. Budgeting and financial procedures. Council? Oh, I guess Latasha.
I'm sorry, I don't think I put that on there.
That's mine.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't recall.
I'm trying to get to it because I keep my packet on a separate screen, so I'm trying to get there so I can talk.
I'm here for you, Brian.
I'm trying to get. Okay, appreciate that. I know you do. Never a doubt. I'm just trying to get to it myself. Okay, so this is what we talked about a number of times about when we have certain fines or fees that are designated for certain purposes, like purchase of trees, or we have a pass-through for the community garden or the bike co-op. Those numbers basically, in reality, disappear at the end of the fiscal year and go into the general fund, and then we have to reappropriate them in the next fiscal year. This is of concern to some of the organizations and commissions. So all I was trying to do, and Alyssa has looked at this, and I think you remember she tried to do it in the charter, and we said, no, we won't do it in the charter. So she put it here, and basically all it does is it informs the finance director and the city manager that they should put the number that's left at a certain date and time near the end of the fiscal year into the proposed budget. Doesn't lock us into anything. We could still change it. We could add to it for that matter. But it's just a placeholder, basically. It's not technically rolling anything over, even though unfortunately we use that term. We can't do that. It has to go in the general fund. So it's basically a placeholder to remind us that there was this money that we had intended for a certain purpose, and we want to keep it there for the next year. And it can still be increased or decreased. And that's the fair summary.
Comments? Anyone? All right, Luke.
Thank you, Mayor.
Then Selena, then Scott.
Thank you so much for working on this. Just to get it on the record, because I know it wasn't mentioned, Brian worked really hard on this, and there is just to have it on the record when it refers to in paragraph section 1A, allocated per section 4200B. That refers to the Arts Commission setting aside money for future expenditures to maintain public artwork. So if you remember this year in the Art Commission's proposed budget, they set aside money for future repairs. So that's what that's working for. So that's what that's referring to, so that city manager understands that going forward. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Selena?
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for putting it together. I just wanted to make sure that the committees were listed, like I mentioned in the previous conversation. I'm very supportive of the Tree Commission, the money that's gotten for that, and also the Art Commission. I wasn't 100% supportive on the other ones because I feel like the city allocates X amount of money for them, so they're able to function with the city resource money that's coming in. So they were kind of like just helping the city on some of it. But thank you for it together. I look forward to the next reading. And
Can I respond to that, Mayor?
yeah.
Yes, please.
So none of the, first of all, so you mentioned to add something about whether the appropriation, or whether the amount in the accounts had gone down or up, or they hadn't submitted bills. So that's been written in there to correct that, because that was a good observation. And there's no committees in here. The rec committee, none of them that we allocate money for. This is accounts where we have specified that the fine should go to buying trees, or we're passing through the money for the bike co-op, or for future maintenance of artwork. Again, I will emphasize, I don't want those committees to think that these numbers are locked in, because they're not. We cannot lock a future council into any number, but it's just a reminder to us that those amounts were there. So appreciate it.
No, thank you for clarifying that. I think it's important for them to hear, because I've been getting quite a few questions. This means like if they didn't spend that, let's say X committee had $2,000 allocated, does that means like if they didn't spend $1,000 because of pandemic, they're gonna be added? So a couple of them felt like it wasn't really fair on their end. So how do they save their money or spend it? So that's been a lot of it. And thank you for adding the suggestion. I did notice it was there to make it a little bit smoother for city manager. And I think they're gonna have to put a date to it, so that way they know after this point they cannot spend. If not, they will not carry through. That was like one of because and the fact that it's not locking any other council to do this, because as we know, we might have good years and bad years. I don't want people to feel like this locked us up completely and our hands are tied, or who the new future council is. Thank you for that.
Anyone else?
Yes.
All right, you have the floor.
Sticking with section 1A, Brian, I just want to make sure I understand it. And this is only a first reading, right? So Luke mentioned that 4-200B is the Arts Commission. If I'm remembering correctly, 12B-11 and 12B-15, that's the Urban Forest chapter. So that's referring to the Tree Commission.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And then what's 3-105F? If anyone knows that. So I'm just wondering, if I understand this correctly, it's listing which
3-105F, I'm almost going to probably correct me, is what's called the mitigation fee for a new structure that covers more square foot impervious. It's called the impervious surface fee. So if you build a new house, there's a formula in that section, code section, that says the developer or the owner has to pay a certain amount into this mitigation, impervious surface fee that can then be used to buy or maintain street.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so it makes sense to have that one in here. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you list the community garden and the co-op. Great, thanks so much. Thanks for explaining that fifth one to me about the impervious surface. I didn't realize that's what it was.
And I'll just mention, if I can, real quick, that the council could add any other, if we come up with other future pass-through accounts like the bike co-op or the community garden, those of course could be added to this. It's not, it's not set in stone.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Anything else on this before we move to the next item? Hearing none, thank you so much. That brings us to parking meters. Who's going to take that one? Brian, are you still on the floor?
Yeah, that's mine. I thought we weren't going to do it. Anyway, so hey guys, this is something I threw out there. It's John sent it to the MRBA. I don't know that we got any comments back. I have no skin in the game here. I was just trying to help out because we've had all these problems with the artist lofts and other places taking up parking spaces in the residential zone. And we've got new businesses coming in that, we've never had that are going to have patrons. So I just kind of tinkered. And I think the previous version you had my comments as to why I did this or that. This is just a first reading. I have no no preference here. I just threw out my best guess as to what would work. I think the interim chief hopefully looked at this, or maybe with the parking enforcement staff. So there could be many more alterations to this, but I know we've got these new businesses opening, and we really need to do something about providing turnover, which is what the real purpose of this ordinance is to make sure somebody doesn't sit there for 12 hours. We've said it in this particular ordinance that the time limit would be 2 hours. I think there was mention of altering that. If you want to do that, you can do that and make it more complicated. But I think our fancy new age parking meters are capable of handling whatever coding that the vendor wants to put in there. But this is what I'm putting out before you, and you can do whatever you want with it at this point.
All right. Let me go to Scott Cecil.
I'm not, Brian, I appreciate you making this effort. When thinking about this, I feel like we could go street by street, block by block, and adjust the times, and someone's gonna be mad anyway. So part of me wonders whether it makes sense to just make it uniform across the city for all the meters, the timing. But I also don't love that idea. I will say maybe it's worth, well, I don't see anything on Varnum Street on here, and I feel like sometimes those businesses get overlooked in that part of Ward 2. And I gotta say, I'm a little surprised by that, because the only business owner that's ever actually contacted me personally about wanting to change the time on the meters is Kaywood Liquors on Varnum Street. So if we're gonna do this for the benefit of the businesses in other areas, I think we should maybe consider adding Varnum Street to this list and changing their hours, especially if you're gonna do the 10 p.m. rather than midnight, for example. But yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna land on this, because like I said, for each one of these changes, there's gonna be someone that's gonna be mad and someone that's gonna be happy. So I'm just not really sure where I'm at yet, but interested to hear the others. And Brian, if you have any response to that too, I'd love to hear that.
Mayor, may I respond just quickly? Varnum Street is in that list. I don't think we altered it.
I saw it.
However, I think what we really need is I hope we can generate a report from parking enforcement as to when the meters, for instance, on that block of Varnum Street are actually used. If there's nobody parking there at 11 o'clock at night, there's probably no reason to have the meters in effect. But if we've got heavy usage of the meters at 11 o'clock at night because the liquor stores are still open, or liquor store's still open, then you might want to keep it at that. So if there's any way we can get a report to sort of give us an idea, I'm guessing that with the new restaurants at that 3800 block of 34th Street, which right now the meters cut off at 7 p.m., that's not going to be a good idea. And it'd be interesting to see what usage of those meters are at the moment. So I know that's probably a heavy lift for the staff to come up with, but probably before the council votes on this, they probably are going to want to see that statistic for each block before we fiddle with the numbers. So thanks, Scott.
Chief put something together for you.
Just a very quick response. Thank you, Brian. And of course, right after I said that, of course, I saw Varnum Street. It's there very clearly.
It's
so
there.
I was wrong.
It's there.
And I'm really sorry about that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I did review all of it, Brian. And the one thing that I remember when I was looking at it is, and want to make sure it was there. All meters are not the same. At least they're not. The timing on them definitely has not been the same, and I don't think it should be. The one thing I did want to remind everyone to think about, though, is why did we put meters on some of the places and put times on them? You all won't remember, but there was a time when all of our meters were being taken over by people catching the bus in Mount Rainier, walking up to Eastern Avenue to get on the bus because you don't have to pay the interstate fee, the inter traffic, and they would park there all day long. So our parking did not really get used. Or they would go in one of the stores and invite other folks to pay their meter for them so that they could park. And so let's don't lose sight on the need for our meters and what the things are on there. I thought you did a good job, Mr. Nedler, although I always turn to you for the legislation. And you normally do an excellent job. So thank you. Let's get this on the work session. Luke and Selena.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going through the different blocks that are listed. That's why I knew Barnum was on it. But I'm going through the different blocks to make sure there's no one that we missed. I know we had addressed when it comes to Nelson here. I wanted to make sure that by default we were not bringing business to one business that had longer parking and concern to others. So I'm going through the various blocks and checking off and figuring out if this will serve the intent that we're willing on. And I do think that I understand the standard helps to keep in mind, but at the same time, it's like it's not it's not one of those like one cookie cutter fits all when it comes to where to put them. Because some of the calls I was getting was like they were concerned that if we do not have parking meters in front of like certain establishments, that people could just like sit there, and it will create a bigger problem for people that were even like that lived around or would like to park or going in and out. Or some of the business name mentioned that the cars will stay there for so long that they will block signage, and then like people cannot see them, or their client cannot park, and that could deter people from coming into their business. So I think it's being very detailed and elaborated, and I'll be going through it like I mentioned and seeing if there's anything else that that needs to be added as well. So thank you for this.
This is Luke, and so what I would say is the way I try to think about it like a map in my head. So starting at the northern end, let me see if I understand it correctly. 34th Street in front of Glut and Nieces and the Water Hole, that ends at, let me go back, just this is how good I remembered it. That ends at
I believe it's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Right, 7 p.m. Then when you get to the next block on, and I should say Bunker Hill at 34th on either side, so in front of Joe's and then in front of A-Life's, those end at 7 p.m. as well.
Right, and you can make an argument that Joe's, because they're open later, should have the meters go later. So there's where you can,
So right, yeah, all those businesses you're assuming they're done kind of at 7. 34th from Bunker Hill to the Circle, those meters are running later. Those meters are running till,
well, they currently run till 7. I'm upping it till, I believe, 10.
10, right? Because we have the restaurants there on Rhode Island. So Bunker Hill is like the dividing line. You're going to have north of Bunker Hill is going to be 7 p.m. South of Bunker Hill is going to be 10 p.m. Then you have Perry and 33rd around Memorial Park and Penny Rail Station and the McKinney development there. That all is going to be 11 p.m.
Right.
So it's going to 10 to 11, and then Rhode Island westbound. So I'm just continuing to move south. Rhode Island westbound is going to go back to 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So it's going to go 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then the other side, Rhode Island eastbound, is going to be till midnight, and that's because of party time.
Yes.
And so it seems to me like the inconsistency is Rhode Island Avenue westbound, and the reason why we have that inconsistency is to allow for residents to park their cars on Rhode Island Avenue starting at 10 o'clock.
Well, they could actually start parking there at 8 o'clock because it's a 2-hour meter. So if they paid the meter at 8 o'clock, they would be okay to be parked there at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So it's a little bit inconsistent in my mind, but I know why we're doing it. It just, in a perfect world, I would do 34th Street and Bunker Hill till 8 o'clock because I think that's when Glut closes. And I think the Water Hole was trying to be open a little later at one point, but maybe not. And I think Joe's So I think that might make sense, but I'm fine with 7 o'clock. It's okay. And then once you go south of Bunker Hill, I agree with that being later. And then it just would make sense to me, and I think this is where it is. So Bunker Hill, Perry, 33rd is all 11 o'clock. That makes sense to me. And then it would almost make sense to just keep Rhode Island eastbound 11 o'clock, just to maintain the consistency. And then if you're a resident, you just have to park at 9. But I'm open there. But I'm just thinking consistency and thinking about future development on Rhode Island Avenue. It would almost make sense to make that all consistently 11. But I'm just thinking of it logically, and maybe it should maybe that's not the right logic, the way I'm trying to think about it.
Well, you're going to these are going to have to be altered as new development occurs.
Yeah.
And you have a huge building going to go up there. The new councils, the future councils are going to have to tinker with this over and over again.
Yeah. So I think I'm fine where it is. I just hope everybody's understanding how it's a little bit inconsistent there with that Rhode Island eastbound lane. But if folks are all in, I think it's an improvement over what we currently have.
Well, let me just mention, Luke, you don't want residents parking in front of party time and whatever the other businesses might be open along there in the evening. I was trying to, make sure that they didn't have their parking spaces taken up. And there's going to be that new restaurant on the corner too, don't forget.
Right.
The building. So you don't, you get them on the other side of the street's one thing, but get them right in front of a business might not. I mean, this is up to you guys what you want to do. So
right. So maybe making it consistently 11 is not the worst thing in the world. And then, or just making Rhode Island midnight, and making everything else 11. But I don't know, making it consistently 11 also makes sense to me. So.
Well, Rhode Island is midnight at the moment.
Right. Yeah. So then you don't have to change that. So.
Well, so that's why you want to get that statistics from parking enforcement. Does anybody actually park there at midnight?
Right. I think that would be helpful.
And do not forget that there are apartments over some of those businesses on the eastbound side.
Yep.
That they have to have somewhere to park too. And in addition to that, and this has nothing to do with the conversation we just had, but it has to do with parking. One of the biggest crises that I've had to deal with this entire week, and I hope the Colonel is on, is where commercial trucks and things are supposed to park now. It was an absolute mess this week when I think we were closed or something. The snow came, and one of the businesses needed to park their commercial truck. The parking lot behind on 34th Street southbound is private. They can't park there. And I've noticed, and the businesses have noticed, they brought it to my attention, that we have more commercial trucks on our street now that actually go with the business, that's delivering the food, that has to move food from one place to the other. And we don't address that in terms of our downtown parking. And we don't have any place for them to park. Where are they supposed to go? That is something we are going to need to consider going forward, because our businesses are changing and they're going to continue to change. So to go back to you, Luke, very quickly, in terms of Brian's response, trust me, parking has been an issue in Mount Rainier since the day I showed up. And it's gotten progressively worse if you listen to some, or it's just as bad as it ever was listening to the others. And I would be one of the others. So there's no absolute perfect way to do it. And you're going to always have that little piece that stick out that just doesn't fit. You just keep massaging it to get there. Any other comments? This will be on our work session for further discussion. And maybe one of the things we could do, and I'd like to offer that out because I'm sure Jimmy Tarlow is probably on here. I'd like to hear some feedback and recommendations from the Mount Rainier Business Association. These are the issues that we think are there, but how often do I park downtown area? When I do some parking on Varnum, but I use the parking lot. The Dollar General has a parking lot. If I'm going to run over to one of the other stores, I got another parking lot behind all of that. So I only have so many meters on Varnum in the first place, and how this is going to impact whether they're going to use it or not. Oftentimes they're not even full unless they're going to the dialysis place, the liquor store parkers. They get their liquor and they leave.
Mayor Miles, this is Scott.
Yes, Scott.
Thank you for what you just said. Could you, as their liaison, could you make an official request from MRBA to either look at this ordinance or just give us some recommendations on parking meters so that we have that in front of us for future discussions?
That's why I just threw that out at Jimmy Tarlow, but I will bring it up at the meeting when I'm at the table.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Any other discussions on this, please? All right, good discussion. Thank you, Brian. Letter regarding impact of Beltway and I-270 expansion, P3 project on WSSC, water infrastructure and ratepayers. I think that's that.
That's my mayor.
Thank you.
So can you guys put so last time I sent you guys the letter with the lawyer's edits. I was asked if this was going to be brought up to a vote from a higher body, and it is. I'm not sure if Joseph is also here, but basically the letter is the same letter as you saw. We were able to edit around it with the recommendations from the city attorney, and it's addressed to Governor Hogan, Frank. I can never say his last name. Frankosh and Cup. As regarding the expansion of I-495 and I-270 in regards of how much taxpayers' bills of water will increase to pay for this public-private partnership, and is saying that our residents should not bear the cost of this expansion, especially when they will not be commuting as in those highways. So there is the letter. Once it's approved by mayor and council, will be sent out, and it's just letting them know like this is not what we would prefer for them to do. Any questions?
All right, council, this is our second time with this letter in front of us. What's your pleasure? I see your hand, Luke.
I support this. I think that as a state, as a nation, we need to find ways to develop better. As I think we know from our efforts to try to retain what little wild space we have and try to actually re-engineer wild space through the native plant network or looking into how we can mitigate stormwater runoff. I mean, just trying to get back to a place that is easier on everybody, because the environment affects everybody. That's expensive. It's expensive to get to a place where our stormwater is better managed and wildlife is around and we're not suffering from biodiversity loss. So to spend money going in the opposite direction, I just think it's very short-sighted, and I think it's going to cost taxpayers in Maryland, and I think it's going to cost the economy more in the long run. And so I support this letter.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll just say that this reminds me, London was around at the same time. Queens Chapel Road is being redone right now, as you all know. That was supposed to have happened like a decade ago.
At least.
And we went to all the meetings and all the planning, and then a new governor came in, decided we're going to build the ICC.
Yes.
All the money drained out of the bathtub.
Yes, it did.
All the money went to the ICC, and I have been on the ICC numerous times. And there's like 10 cars on the damn thing.
There it is.
And I don't know if anybody else has been on thing. I've never seen a traffic jam on an ICC. It spent billions on that thing. And it was supposed to be the most wonderful project in the world. Glenn Denning opposed it. And then he was out of office, they built it. And all the money for all the other state highway projects disappeared. That's why we're now just getting back to Queens Chapel Road. So I don't really support these grandiose new highways that are going to cost us. Thank God Queens Chapel is going to get built before that kicks in. But and I still, as I said last time, I think with the teleworking ethic that's come in the last year, I think there's going to be few people on the road. And on the other thing is the ICC was supposed to reduce the traffic flow on 270.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And 495. But I mean, it's just another, I just don't want to build another highway. And even our letter's probably not going to, make all that much difference, but at least we're stating our position as we did about the ICC back in the day. So I'd support the letter. Thank you, Selena.
Anyone else would like to speak on this? You have the floor, Scott.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of this too. As a process matter, and as I mentioned in the last meeting, I was surprised that this went to the city attorney before it came to us, and I'm still looking for an acknowledgement that that happened. But other than that, I'm supportive for moving forward.
Thank you so very much, Brian. I admire all of the history. You know, I sit back and I laugh because I went to all those meetings. I attended almost every single one of them, and we ended up not getting any money for over a decade and a half.
We wanted that the traffic signal. Remember, we fought like cats and dogs.
How many times? And before then, remember it was underground. The traffic signal on Queens Chapel Road was underground, and folks were almost getting knocked all the way to Mars. But I have no problem with the letter at all. I think, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity, maybe not so much to teach, but just to kind of say we have protocols. And Scott, I hear you. It went to the city attorney. Those things have happened, and we've said they shouldn't. But let's not get that confused with whether or not we support the letter. I think the new council coming forward, hopefully we'll do a better job. Not we anymore. Not we anymore. They will do a better job of working together to get these things in front of each other before going there. But then if it's urgent and of the essence, which I think this letter was introduced as something that needed to move right away, sometimes there might have to be forgiveness just to let it go. It's done. But it should work not for just one person, but every person on this council.
Mayor,
may I finish, please?
Yes.
One of the things I most appreciate about each one of you is that we have our areas that we are very, very, very forceful about. And process is important. And we need to honor that. But sometimes I think we actually have to make exceptions. So I know Scott's going to want to say something. Selena, you've already made me know you do. Please take the floor.
Yeah, no, thank you for arresting this. I just want to make it clear that my letter was.
No, you got to clear your speaker up because you're not clear at all.
Can you hear me?
I don't want to do it but once.
No, I said, I just want to be clear that the letter was sent to the city manager for her to decide to move forward. So I didn't send it directly to the attorney and skip any process. So I want to make sure that's very clear. I was very respectful of that, but because of the urgency and time, the city manager felt like we needed to, move it through, and she does has that call she could make as, being their boss. So I just want to make sure that was clear.
Okay, Scott, do you need the floor?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you for what you said. And what you described is exactly what I'm doing, which is separating my support for the letter from that process question.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes with corrections being provided no later than close of business on Friday, let it be known by aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, our minutes are approved, and yes, we're up to date. Very good. Thank you. City manager, mayor, and council. May I hear some reports? I think I'm in the right place. Number 16. Any reports from the city manager? I want her to go first.
No report, Mayor.
Any reports from the mayor and council?
I'm good.
I see Luke, I see Scott, I see Selena. So I'm going to go in that order.
Yeah, a couple of things to report out. I spoke with the Endangered Species Coalition. They contacted me about the Native Plant Network legislation that we passed. And they're actually looking to partner and maybe give us some funding for plants for residents to plant. And so that's just some really good news. It wouldn't be a lot, somewhere in the hundreds of dollars, but just something really nice. And glad to see folks are getting excited about this. There is also, I think, well, I think that's it on that front. The other thing, I just want to get to my thank yous to everybody right now. I want to start off with my thank you for the mayor and council. Scott, I want to give you a thank you first off. I want to thank you for working alone on some of those issues that we've been trying to partner on. I'm not going to let you work alone for too much longer. I'm going to keep texting you and bothering you to see if we can get a chance to talk about some of the issues that we're working on. Because I think it's really good when we can work on some of this stuff more together. I think that it's better for the community that way. Brian, I want to thank you for even in departing, I think caring so much about what you're leaving behind in the city and who's going to be there to take care of it and making sure it's in good hands and not just piecing out to your rural estate in Virginia. So I appreciate that because I'm pretty sure I'd be on a motorcycle heading to my Virginia country house. So thank you. Selena, I want to thank you for just hustling so damn hard. You are always working really hard for people. I picture you during the day with like 50 different bags in your hand, doing different things. And that is not dissimilar to Mayor Miles and the amount of work that she's getting done on a daily basis. So thank you, Selena. Mayor, we talked a little bit. I want to thank you for your service, for your leadership. I know we've talked about that in the past, and I thank you for that in the past. I want to thank you for giving me a chance. I remember when you walked into my house and Doyle said there was this kid interested in running for office, and you came and sat down in my living room, and we had a wonderful discussion. And I remember sitting on my porch swing talking about Memorial Park and 31st Street Pocket Park after I got elected, and recycling. We talked about recycling bins, and you finally admitted you could get on board with recycling bins when we were on my porch swing on my front yard. Just some moments I really remember. I know I have not been the easiest to work with. I know that I have gotten on your nerves from time to time, and the feeling's probably mutual from time to time. But you know what? You have just always showed respect and respect to everybody, no matter how they were treating you. And that is a big lesson. That is not easy to do. And I don't know how you do it sometimes, but you do. And I just really want to thank you for that and never giving up on this council and never leaving. I don't know how much Brian paid you to stay on, but I just want to thank you for never leaving and being with us here. It was a great 4 years and I learned a lot, and I just thank you for that. And I'll just end there.
Oh, Mayor, you're muted.
I said it shows the pay people before they get on these Zoom calls so that they say the right things. You can keep all the money I gave you, Luke. You earned it. Thank you. All right. Anyone else, please?
Yes.
Was that you, Scott?
Yes, ma'am.
I heard a yes, but I don't know who it was.
It was me.
Okay, thank you. You have the floor.
I think Selena had asked for the floor too. Yeah. Mayor, I love you so much. I hope you don't mind me saying it that way in public. I'm just going to be really candid. I didn't think it was going to be that way going in. A lot of people in the city talk, and I heard a lot of things about you before I got on the council. And quite frankly, I don't think any of them were true. And I think you're the best council member that we have in this group of 5, and that's no offense to anybody else or to myself. I've learned more than you than I ever expected I would. And I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I'm really sad. I mentioned before that, hey, let's hop on a call soon. And we haven't had the chance to do that the last couple weeks. And that's, well, you've been going through a lot, but that's been on my end as well. But, you know, believe it or not, I want to let you know that the reason I wanted to have a conversation with you is because I wanted to tell you that I think you should run again, and that I was going to support you, and that I wanted to endorse you. So if you change your mind in the next few weeks, that's still on the table. But, you know, all joking aside, I don't want to diminish just everything you've done for the city. And I've said this before in public, and it bears repeating. I think one of the things I've learned about you as the mayor of this city is that most people will never see or hear about or know about 90% of the stuff that you do. You do so many things behind the scenes. You know where all the levers of power are, and you know when to pull them and who to talk to. And just seeing that has been amazing. And I love you is really all I wanted to say. So, you know, thank you. I'm really sad, but I'm happy for you. And I hope that you're actually going to retire and enjoy some time off, but something tells me that you're probably still going to be keeping busy. But I just really appreciate you, and you know, I look forward to just being your friend rather than just a council member with you. So thanks for all your work.
I wish I'd have paid you too.
No, you didn't need to.
Oh gosh, thank you. All right. I appreciate all the compliments, and it feels good to hear that we did work great as a council. Yeah, we had some ups and downs, had some in-your-face moments, and it's going to happen. My scenario is always, I have my tongue and I have these teeth, and every now and then those teeth bite that tongue, but I definitely don't pull those teeth. I figure out how to chew more easily, more carefully, and so I've learned to be careful too, so thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? Because we really need to get to this closed session.
My turn.
Believe it or not. Oh, your turn?
Yeah.
I was saying it's 8:55. I get up to that closed session
I have a check to cash, Mayor. No, I think that I'll tell you this. One of the things I appreciate that even though in certain meetings we do not see eye to eye, outside the meeting we could talk and sometimes even discuss where we stood or we need space from it, and then we come back and regroup. So I think that that's one of the things I appreciate it. But also when I called and say, this is a problem that I have, how to go about solve it. It hasn't been only been here, solve it this way, oh, I'll take care of it. I've also been able to learn how to deal with certain things and how to learn and see things, you know, beyond that. So I definitely feel like that has also helped with some of my growth. So the way I see it is like, and just like I mentioned to Brian, I don't think you guys are going very far away. You guys have built a lot of what the city is now. And I see you guys continue to be active members, but you've transitioned to a different role. And I don't know if that means you're going to have less work, but probably more. Because you will not have a lot of this extra meetings. But I don't see either of you guys slowing down, because that's just who you guys are. You guys are like willing to give and work. So I look forward to it's weird because it's even hard sometimes to even call you Melinda, although like it's in a private conversation. And you know this, I was referred to you as
code to consider acquisition of real property and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
All right. Thank you for that. May I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor of going into the closed session for the purposes stated, let it be known by aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none.